everyone, it is Beth with Flying by the Seat of My Plants, and I just wanted to put a quick video together on different tips I have for if you plan on doing a plant sale. I just do it out in my front yard. I line up tables that I have and put all the plants on the tables, and different tips to help you have a successful one. This is, I think, my 5th year with the plant sale, and through these years I have found things that work, things that didn't work. The very first year it was just at the spur of the moment. I just pulled all my plants out and put them in the front yard, and put a sign at the end of the street, kind of like a garage sale sign, and I put on there heirloom tomatoes and peppers, an arrow with my address, and sold quite a few that first year. I think the very first year I was probably doing $2 a plant. And there's a lot that goes into getting ready for the plant sale. One of the things, and it costs money. I buy my containers from Greenhouse Megastore, the trays, and then you have the fertilizer, you have the soil, you have the electricity that you use. Trying to think what else. You know, the grow lights. And the thing is, it's a passion of mine to start seeds. You have to have a passion for it. Because I did like 792, almost 800 tomato plants, and I think 248 pepper plants. And of course, out of there, I'm going to take what I'm going to put in my garden. There are, family members I do give plants to, and I also donate to certain places some plants, and the rest goes into the sale, and that is to help, kind of recoup the money that I've spent doing this, and I just love doing it. So I have a lot of videos how I start my seeds and up potting. And so anyhow, with the sale, everything goes out in my front yard, in the driveway. On one side of the driveway, I usually put the larger tomatoes, like Paul Robeson, Cherokee Purple, the different tomatoes like that. On the other side of the driveway, I usually put my cherry tomatoes and peppers. So at least I could tell people, the larger ones, and plus I know for myself, and I'm looking for a variety that they want, what side it's going to be on. So one thing I noticed when I went to the greenhouses, commercial ones, a lot of them do not have photos or a picture of what that tomato is going to look like. There's not a description of the tomato in flavor or the size of the tomato. So to me it helps, anybody that is coming to your plant sale, pick out what they want to buy by doing a description. So I went ahead and I make, I put out the variety and then the flavor. I describe, what year, like vintage wine, a 1980s heirloom variety. That's all in this. This is like 4 pages long, and it's a description of all the varieties of tomatoes that I have in my plant sale. Cherokee Purple, the description, an old Cherokee heirloom, pre-1890 variety, beautiful deep dusky purple pink color, superb sweet flavor, and a very large size fruit. Try this one for real old time tomato flavor. So kind of giving you an idea, and this helps them pick out what tomato plants they want to buy. And I have so many different varieties. It's either 30 or 31. Black from Tula, Berkeley tie-dye pink, old German. So this helps them, decide what plants they want to purchase and put in their garden. Okay, so the other thing that I do is I have a big wooden, I don't know what you call it, anyhow, that I put pictures of the tomatoes, the plants, or the tomatoes, what they're going to look like. Because, of course, when you look at the plant, you have no idea what that tomato is going to look like. And I like to see a visual. And so anyhow, I have a picture of what the tomato's going to look like. I also put on that board, poster board, for people to go up and look, the description like I, put on here, next to the pictures, so that it makes it easier for them to decide what kind of tomato they want to grow. And that, I think, really, really helps people decide what they want. And like here, I went ahead, I got a color printer, so I did pictures of the tomatoes here, and that just, like the Ananas Noor. I mean, that's so unique and different, and a beautiful and a wonderful tasting tomato. And I sell out pretty much in the beginning of the Ananas Noor. Where I think if I didn't have a picture, if I didn't have a description, if I didn't talk more about it, I probably wouldn't sell hardly any of those. So another thing is being knowledgeable about the tomato plants that you're selling, about the tomatoes, if you know about the flavors. And I always put new ones. I love trying out new tomato plants, tomatoes in my sale. And one of the new ones is Chocolate Miracle for me. So the description, I take from either the website from where I purchased the seed packet from, or the back of the seed packet. This one is Melt in Your Mouth, our velvety, the Chocolate Miracle, Melt in Your Mouth, our velvety, smoky, and laced with cocoa undertones. Thin chocolate purple skins, rich, tangy, bittersweet ganache, claimed by experts as one of the finest tasting brown tomatoes, pure savor indulgence, mid-sized beefsteak. That would make me want to buy it. So, and I did. When I look for my seeds, what I want to start this, for the my garden, I look at the description. I do look at reviews, and that helps me describe to people coming to my plant sale. And Abby, do you have to go outside? She only does this when I get on camera. Well, not only. What? Okay, I'm gonna put you guys. Okay, so Abby got some snacks. Hopefully she'll be quiet while I'm doing this. Anyhow, okay, so, I go ahead and I do these so people can have them when they're shopping for the plants. I also take these to work. I do work in retail, and there are customers that come to where I work, and I will hand these out. And I also put my address so people know where the sale is going to be once, and then I tell them the dates once I know that. It's based a lot on weather, of course. In our area, we usually plant around Memorial Day weekend. We've had some years where you can plant earlier, but then you have to be cautious if we have a freak frost, which has happened. And a lot of people have lost plants if you plant too early. This is in our area, Northeast Ohio. So, and I, tell people that too, especially if it's cooler weather. Last year was a very cool spring. And the people that were buying the plants, I said, don't plant them yet, because it was a cold spring. And I didn't get my garden in until June 2nd. So anything, advice that you can give to people, because you don't want them buying plants and then having them die. Because once, the greenhouses, or if I sell out of my plants, they're not going to be available anymore. So, give good advice to people that come to your plant sale. I also advise them on how I plant, what kind of fertilizer I use. I explain about, planting the tomato plant. You can plant deep so that the hairs, can grow into roots. Because a lot of people that do come to the plant sale are some are first-time gardeners, and they need advice. They need you to explain how to do certain things. And sometimes I will type out, instructions on planting tomatoes, instructions on planting peppers, and it just helps them. The other thing that in fact, last year was the first time I did it, which I wish I would have done it sooner, because I put everything on these little tags. And I don't know how many trays I have, but 792 tomato plants. There's 18 containers per tray. So I have a lot of trays. And I just use these little things in each container, with Cherokee Purple or whatever the tomato is. And for the first few years, I mean, if people said, oh, I want to get this tomato, this. So I knew my large tomatoes were on the one side of the driveway, but I had to look at each tag and, trying to find the tomato plants that they want. And that took a lot of time. So last year I actually got these skewers from Dollar Tree, and here's a seed packet. It's an empty seed packet, and I put the skewer down in it so it comes all the way through, and then taped it and stuck these in each tray. So if one tray was Queen of the Night, all I had to do is glance over and see that there's my Queen of the Night. Or on the other side, there's my Paul Robeson. And trust me, it was a game changer as far as finding the plants. Because, the very first day, there's so many people absolutely love it. I mean, there's cars that are parked down the street. And, so you want to make sure that your plants are healthy. You want to make sure, they're hard enough before they purchase them. To make anything as successful as you can for anyone that purchases your plants. So, and things get shuffled around, so this was very, very, very helpful. So I got a color printer. I even did this so I could make several more. And as I'm selling them, in the trays, I condense trays together. So, putting these in there just helps me find everything a lot faster. Okay, so the other thing that I do is I have a Facebook group, Flying by the Seed of My Plants. And right now there's like over 300. And every year right around this time when I start advertising in different Facebook groups around my neighborhood, how sometimes they have the city where you live, a Facebook group. And so I put in there about my plant sale. And so advertising in Facebook is a huge, huge helpful tool to have. So in my group, I advertise in there. And what I do is I list all the varieties of my tomato plants. Actually, I just went ahead and copied all this and pasted it in the Facebook group. So at least they could start looking to see what type of tomato they might want. People get excited. I'm excited. And that excitement is contagious. So anyhow, I just absolutely love it. So, I list what tomato plants I'm going to have, the varieties, what peppers. I got to still list my pepper plants. But that is a huge tool. Right now, there's over 300 people. When we talk about gardening, there's so many seasoned gardeners in the group. The other thing is last year, if you could have help. Because through the years, it's gotten bigger and bigger. And usually the first day is very, very busy. And I think I start the plant sale about 9 a.m., like on a Saturday morning, and I advertise that, the days, my address, and people start coming. And so last year I had my stepdad, he was in charge of the money, and my sister and her boyfriend stopped, and they were helping people, box up and bag up the plants they were purchasing. Al, he's in the Facebook group. He was talking to different people. He's very knowledgeable on plants. I was talking, any questions, you want to be there to answer questions, describe flavors, different things like that. So, and they really appreciate that when you're taking the time to do that. I don't just put my plants out there and walk away. Towards the end, like on the second weekend maybe, and I have to get my gardening done sometimes. If I go in the backyard, I'll put a sign, please knock or ring doorbell, and I'll be out. But that's just only like when people are just, it's not like the first weekend. The first weekend, it's just very busy, and I am out there the whole time. So trying to think what else. You know, the one thing, the game changer, you know, putting these on a skewer, putting these in, so at a glance I could see what is in that tray. And I think that's it. As far as my hints, you know, advertising, having a printout of the different varieties. If you want to do printouts to hand, you know, if people want of how to plant and different fertilizers, things to help avoid like blossom end rot, things like that. The other thing that I do is this year I'll probably be selling my plants for $3 a plant. And personally, I just like to keep it under what the greenhouses are selling them for. I know I could sell them for a lot more because they're beautiful, healthy plants. But I also try to make it affordable for people to garden. So I do a price list that I tape to the table and, you know, by my stepdad. So, you know, I put like one plant $3, two plants $6, three plants $9, and take it down to about 10 to 20 plants and how much that would cost for that person. So at a glance, they could see, okay, if I buy 10 plants, this is how much it's going to cost me. And it makes it a lot easier for them. Okay, so the biggest thing is you being there to answer questions, advertising, Facebook. Plus, my cousin offered to put some flyers up in some of the grocery stores that we have, and word of mouth. Like I said, I think this year is my 5th year of the plant sale, and just from previous years, I have so many repeat people coming back, and they are healthy plants. Plus, in my Facebook group, I go through some of the, you know, how I up pot, how I plant. They could see videos of what my plants look like ahead of time. So that is all very helpful. You know, and I add Trifecta Plus to all of my, when I up pot. And I harden everything off so that they are ready for them to purchase the plant and put in their garden. And they don't have to worry about hardening off or anything. So I guess that's it. I'm trying to think anything else. Oh, and the other thing is I try to get like different boxes to put plants in when they purchase them. My neighbor next door gives me a lot of paper bags that she gets from the grocery store, and I use all of that. You know, I try to put out there, you know, on Facebook, if you could bring your own container, that's great, because a lot of times, you know, especially towards the end, I start running out of that stuff. And so I guess that's it. Hopefully that helps if you are planning on doing a plant sale. And, you know, don't be intimidated. The first year, like I said, I just moved some tables out there and just did it. And I love it. I have met so many new people, friends, and I absolutely love it. So if you're planning on selling any of your plants, good luck to you. And it's a lot of fun. And you'll meet a lot of new people and you'll make friendships. And so I guess that's it. And just wanted to share that with you, and thanks for watching, and hope you guys have a great day. All right, talk to you later. Bye.